I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Oh, Megan, can you see if we're here?
Sarah Menard.
Yep.
Gina Kreitler. Donna Roush. Kelly Pollard.
Here.
Candy Sue Muhurin.
Here.
Laura Oliver.
Here.
Jack Ketting.
Here.
Nicole French.
Here.
Susan Johnson.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. Okay, then we will officially call this meeting to order, and you have an agenda in front of you. I guess, do we have to have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
In a second? And we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any additions to the agenda? Okay, thank you. And we have meetings from minutes from the last meeting, which took place March 16th. I think all of you have a written copy in front of you.
Motion to approve.
Second.
So, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any discussion? Opposed? Oh, okay, the minutes are approved with no additions or corrections. Thank you. And we have an audience. Are there any citizens to be heard?
There are. Let's start. Yeah, Mr. Muzzy.
Okay, great.
If you want to stand to the podium up there. I didn't know how many people would be here, so I only brought one copy for you to share. But it's just briefly. My name is Darwin Muzzy. I live in St. Genevieve. I've been resident for about a year and a half. We're the last house on the right on 2nd Street North. So beautiful town. We've enjoyed it, and we feel like we're becoming part of the community. But I'm fortunate to own an electric car. And one thing that I've noticed when we go to the website at tesla.com/supercharger, it tells you where sites are on the computer. On the dashboard of the car, it actually will show you these sites as well. But when you look at the map of this area for the 63670 area code, there's a huge void around St. Genevieve. To the north, you have to go kind of to the north side of St. Louis to find a supercharger. And to the south, you have to go, is it south of Cape Girardeau. There's another supercharger. There must be a highway goes east and west, south of Cape Girardeau. But there's a huge void, I guess, when you look at the map. And so when you put in your destination, you skip right by St. Genevieve. And I guess my suggestion is that maybe St. Genevieve wants to get a jump start on our neighboring communities, the Farmingtons, the Perryville. You know, you don't want them to get a supercharger or a destination charger before St. Genevieve. It just seems like if you can get on the map, that would jump on the screen every time you look for a place to re-energize. And on the same website here, Tesla.com supercharger, there is a supercharger application, and I don't know what the details of that is, but it just, in my mind, a supercharger. Well, does anybody know what superchargers are or destination chargers? There's kind of three types of chargers. One is level 1, which is basically your plug-in at home. It's a very low power. A destination level 2 charger is a charger that you would plug in overnight if you're at a hotel or if you were going to be at shopping or a restaurant for a period of time. Then level 3 will charge your car in 20 minutes to 40 minutes, depending on how much power you need to get. And so I'm thinking, I'm getting into more detail there probably than I should, but a supercharger out on Highway 55 and 32 might be a nice location for a supercharger. And then destination chargers in town, maybe the lot across from Avion or Audubon. And, it's just to get us on the map, I guess. And briefly, that's my discussion. I can go on for an hour or more, and I don't want to take up all your time. But my phone number is 763-280-4396. And you're more than welcome to give me a call. We're on Second Street North at the end of the block. And call me, and I can show you what the map's about, and if you're interested. But
Can I ask a question?
sure.
I know nothing about that, but what kind of cost is there in something like that?
I don't know. It said there's an application for a supercharger, and so I don't know what those costs are. I know Tesla is trying to get the network established, and right now I think they've kind of taken care of their needs, but there's a big area. They can skip right by us, and but it seems like there's some opportunities here for the community. So, yes.
Is that just for Tesla?
No, well, I'm not an expert, but I believe you can use different adapters for the Tesla charging stations. And then also on this front page here, there's a www.plugshare.com, and it shows you a similar map, but it shows a lot of the level 2 chargers, and some of them are bed and breakfasts, or some are hotels, or so I mean it's coming. I guess it will be coming, and so it'd be just nice to be out in front. So
Do you as a car owner then, do you just like put in a credit card to pay for that charge, or how's that work?
for the Tesla charging stations, you have an account, and you kind of prepay. So all I do is pull up to the supercharger. This is my granddaughter, my wife. But basically, you just take the cord off the machine, and you push the button and slip it in there, and that's it. There's no meter, no credit card. It's all. I don't know if it debits, if it draws on your account, but there's no machine. There's no credit card at the pump. So you have an account set up with.
But there's other companies that build charging stations, not just Tesla.
Yes, and I know, I don't know all the details of it, but I'm thinking that you could make an account with Tesla, even though if you own a Nissan or a Toyota when they do come on the market. It seems like you could sign up with Tesla and put money into an account that you could draw on their equipment. I don't know, I don't believe that these type of chargers are solely for the Tesla brand, but I could be wrong too, but I don't, there's some research that needs to be done. So,
All right.
okay.
Thank you very much
All
for
right.
that. I think it's quite fascinating and certainly worthy of discussion and exploration. It would have never been on my radar. I would never have thought even of that being an amenity that a town could offer, but it makes kind of a lot of sense. Yeah.
So funny this comes up because a couple weeks ago, I had a couple from Spain stay at my Airbnb log cabin, and Saturday morning I pull up and there's a Tesla car backed right up to the front porch, plugged into my front porch.
That was kind of an acronym.
So I put on Facebook a clash
Yeah.
of centuries. So that's weird that he comes with that, because that just happened 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And this couple they were from Barcelona, but they live in Chicago for 4 years, and this is their very first car. And they didn't get to the cabin until midnight because they had to limp the car all the way. They took a scenic route to let their little girls look at Shawnee National Forest, and their charge is good for like 350 miles, I think. And so they would just stop and plug in for an hour and limp it to the next
Yeah.
place. And so then when I got here Saturday morning, there's a car plugged into the front porch of a log cabin.
Oh,
Hilarious.
okay, yeah.
So somebody actually needed it here. It's weird that you bring that up now, so, I would be interested in what did you say the thing about for Airbnbs? You know,
But different residences or businesses usually provide the connection.
Uh-huh.
And again, I don't know what the financial is of that,
yeah.
but
Because just using my regular outlet, I asked him how long would it take to completely charge, and he said a couple days.
yeah, a long time. That would be a level 1 charger.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah, it was just off the front porch, so.
At home, I've got it's a 220 volt,
Mhm.
32 amp breaker on it. And so it'll charge easily overnight.
Okay. I don't know if it'll ever happen again, but that was just really strange.
I would suspect it would, yes. I think you're right, I think it's coming, and I thank you
yeah.
for bringing that to our attention.
And there's the Chevy Spark. I mean, there's other car companies. I think they can all I think they all have kind of a universal adapter, like our washing machines and dryers all have the same. I think the electric cars can plug into any charger somewhere, but.
One more. I've been told that the city has one-time use funds available. I'm not sure through what agency, but for this type of tourism or use by the city. I think there's a meeting on Thursday, and which I'll be attending as well. But, so there are apparently some funds that might be applicable for this type of use.
Right. And the thing is, his car did not have, Teslas don't have gasoline backup.
No.
So he had no other way to get where he was going without stopping and charging along the way.
Did you look at your meter to see if it was like?
Oh, yeah, he used $25 extra electric that week. So, lesson learned. From now on, there'll be a surcharge if you're going to plug your car into my front porch. But first time, it was just kind of strange. Like I said, to pull up and there's a car plugged into a log cabin.
Yeah,
Really weird, but cool.
yeah. It's certainly worthy of discussion and some investigation about where possible funding could come from, and maybe utility companies, and maybe, who knows, there might be money out there. Yeah, thank you for that.
Mhm.
Actually, if Carla, if you're ready to talk,
Oh, sure.
Carla and I have been talking a little bit about an opportunity she's looking at this year, and something we could include in some of our marketing packages in the future, including the visitor's brochure that we would hopefully be coming out with this year. So, Carla, if you want to talk about that a little
Sure. My name is Carla Fisher, and I've been in the amusement industry for the last 20 years. And my family and I have decided to open up our own fun farm, which I've basically been doing a fun farm for the last 18 years in Illinois. So we are opening up a fun farm in St. Genevieve County. It will be in Bloomsdale. Our property line starts at Karen Road and 55 on the west side and goes 1 mile north directly on Highway 55. So the nucleus of the action will be a little north of the way station. So it's kind of, you'll see things from the interstate, but it's not, there's a lot of woods and things. Basically, what we are doing is bringing an agritourism facility to St. Genevieve County. We will be open, it'll be called Bloomsdale Fun Farm, and we are opening in September. Our goal date is September 11th. We will be open 8 weekends, weekends only this fall, in the fall, and projecting 3 weekends for Easter. We will have numerous activities for families, starting with pick your own pumpkins, corn maze, sunflower field, and zinnia field. In addition to that, we'll have activities like jumping pillows. I have several mechanical rides. We'll have 2 sizes of tricycle tracks. We're building a 50 by 100 foot Quonset hut in which we'll have activities. We'll have a big corn pit for kids to play in. Hang on a minute, should have had this page open. Then I can more easily read through these things, because here we go. Well, of course, wagon rides. Live music every day. I've got live bands scheduled every day. Cornhole, hiking trails. There's a lot of nice hiking trails on the property. Not miles and miles of trails, but very pleasant trails for families to walk. Large variety of porch swings, swings in general, petting zoo, big playhouses. Eventually they'll be elevated because they're supposed to be bird houses, but we may or may not accomplish that the first year. A 85-foot 3-lane fiberglass slide, trackless train, yada, 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 just all kinds of activities. The goal of the facility is for families to come and have fun all day long. So hopefully it's like when I was in Illinois, there were days when people would get there at 10 o'clock in the morning and I'd see them again at 4:30 and I'd be like, are you still here? And that's what I want to be able to say again. So we're just really putting a lot of energy into developing the property, into and clearing it to the point that we can just every year keep adding on and make it more and more and more, and bring more people south into Bloomsdale and St. Genevieve County. I've got projections down the road of things that we're planning on adding, but one thing that I think would be really neat is when you leave the property. I used the word exit the other day, and someone thought I meant exit ramp, and I meant exiting the property as in just pulling out of the property. It'd be nice if eventually we had a big sign that would say things like, visit St. Genevieve, and have other businesses advertised on there. To let them know that there are other things like the new museum and restaurants and of course the wineries and whatnot, to just let them know that there are a lot of other things in St. Genevieve County to visit. And I'm here just to ask for any kind of help at all in terms of promoting the business, whether it's in publications or on websites or whatever. Our website debuts May 3rd if all keeps moving as smoothly as it is right now. And it'll be an introductory where there won't, in time, then we'll start, shooting out a lot more information to the public in terms of what we'll have. But one thing I learned when I went to Curcio was forward is forward, and I'm trying to live my life like that. So every day we just try to keep moving forward and don't go backwards, because we have a lot of work to do, but that's our game plan. So it's going to be very exciting because the nearest fun farm is, south, an hour and a half to Sykeston, which I'm friends with the owners of other fun farms, by all means, all over the country. But, and then of course in Illinois, and then, as far north as St. Louis. So this area I really think it's going to be a really nice addition to St. Genevieve County.
What's the URL for the website going to be?
BloomsdaleFunFarm.com. And the email will be info@BloomsdaleFunFarm.com.
All righty, thank you. Anybody have any questions for Carla?
So
Well,
you'll be
again, I'll
seeing
say that, yeah, well, besides Jack, yeah.
Thank
That's something else that was never on my radar, but that sounds like fun. I'm gonna come play.
So you used to have that goat that was on that ridge there on Highway 55.
Right, yeah.
So now we're on the edge of the property, there's a big clearing, so we're gonna have that's where the petting area is gonna be, so we're gonna put a big goat display, and we're getting these billy goats from Niagara that have ginormous horns, so people will see them coming on the interstate, and we'll have a couple billboards up, because we can promote ourselves on our own property without permits, so we'll be putting up a couple billboards also.
Well, terrific. Good luck.
Thank you, appreciate that.
All righty. Anybody else have any new exciting info for us? Well, Toby, I guess it's all yours.
Okay. Starting off on the director's report, since our last meeting, we had some national park workshops via Zoom. One of those was regarding interpretive themes, so kind of outline some of the themes that they are drilling down to. The processes include establishing a mission statement for the park, and then underneath that, kind of coming up with different interpretive areas that they plan to interpret, and then below that, they talk about the tangibles that they can use to interpret it, and then they talk about intangible cultural things that they can also use, and then they tie it in with universal truths as kind of a way to link the past and the history with things that are going on today in the country and in the world. And so some of the things they've been talking about have to do with economic themes, and obviously we have the architecture here, but they're expanding on that a lot more in terms of the relationship of the cultures that were here from pre-settlement times all the way up through the present day. So they certainly have a wide-ranging view and a diverse view of things, and I don't know if people here are hearing any feedback from people in the community, but there are people who have been involved in the process and have a chance to put their input into it to help shape what the national park is doing. Let's see, below that, a couple of projects I've been working on for the last few weeks. One was the visitor's booklet, which all of you should have received as a PDF last week or so to kind of look through. If you see any things on there, definitely feel free to contact me. We can set up a time you can hand me revisions or ideas or thoughts and go over those. Or if you just make notes on it and want to drop it off to me, either way. I've talked with some people already about it, and including, like I said, Carla had some information that we figure we can include for this year, and also some other places that'll make it probably a little bit bigger than the 42 pages that were presented last week or so. So that's one of the things I've been working on lately, as well as talking with historic attractions about tours, group tours, and adult tours, and trying to go over some of the issues that have been concerns of theirs in the past, and trying to resolve some of those things, which are some of that's going to take a little bit of time to go through the issues. And fortunately, we're having tours return again, so we're able to kind of see what those things have been that were popping up in the past, and try to find out ways to iron those out here going forward. Back to the visitor's brochure, so with the expansion of the size of it, I'd hoped to get bids for printing in time for the Tourism Tax Commission meeting this evening. I did receive some bids related to the 40-page proposal, and then I said, all right, can I get another option for the additional pages? So I'm still waiting for some of those. I don't have all of them back. So when I do get those back, I'll put that package together, prepare it for the Tourism Tax Commission, and if we want to do a special meeting to even do the printing. I mean, it's not going to be a cheap process. We haven't had a booklet like that, I don't think, in the past, in terms of having that much volume of information in a booklet. And I forgot to bring with me, someone asked about the size and whether it's still something that could fit in a pocket, and there are booklets out there that Cape Girardeau's would be roughly 60-page booklet, and it's fairly thin still, so they fold down pretty well, so they're still pretty portable at that size, at the 4 inches by 9 inches size. The files themselves are InDesign files and can be adapted in the future. If we wanted to go to a magazine style format, it could be easily adjusted and manipulated, the artwork and the text to go with the larger format. And actually, I talked with a firm last year about doing a 16-page magazine. I included that information there, so you had kind of a barometer of the cost of that, and can kind of calculate backwards if we go with smaller printing runs, because things do change a lot. And we put the downtown maps out earlier this year, and in the time since that came out, one of the businesses changed names within days, and then we actually have 3-4 other downtown businesses that we can add into that. So when we do our next round of maps, we're going to have a glasswork shop, and we got the Pat's Pastries, and we have the tea shop downtown. So we all have some additions to make on our next printing already. So probably better to go in small batches in terms of printing so we can do updates more often. I think the process of the design and printing is probably a little maybe easier or inexpensive than it was a few years ago, so it could be done more often. The updating can be done more frequently, and the printing can be done more often. And I know that's going to get into some of our new business, but there are 3 potential grants deadlines up ahead that I wanted to update you on. One is regarding a sign program for Legends and Lores that I had started working on last year that would put a sign in Memorial Cemetery related to the cherry tree, the weeping cherry tree at the grave of Senator Lewis Lynn. I've talked with the cemetery committee at the Foundation for Restoration, has been involved in the process, and it will be on the Board of Aldermen's agenda for resolution this Thursday, since it is city property, to get their approval to place anything in the cemetery. So I want to make sure everyone's on board before we put a sign in there. I did send an email out this afternoon with a PDF that included kind of what the sign looks like and a little information about the program itself, which is no cost. You apply for the grant. If they approve it, they will go ahead and send you the cost to cover the sign and the pole, which the sign has to be done at their approved foundries. They're metal signs with the raised lettering, so they're pretty sharp looking. The deadline for the marketing platform development grant is coming up at the end of this month. We do have one in process this year that involves a search engine optimization program. And then we have some options for what we can do this year with one. I think from talking with Happy, we think website development is probably the best use for that grant funds, if we're able to get those to develop our website a little more. I think it's probably overdue for some revamping to bring in some of the new bells and whistles that are out there to kind of update different things that can reflect St. Genevieve a little better. And ideally, interact it with the phone app that we've been talking about. That could be something we develop this year as well, and kind of do all that stuff at the same time. And then the third one is, what did I do with that here? Oh, the National Endowment for Humanities has a deadline coming up in June. And when we talked about walking tours in the past, in addition to phone apps, in the past they have granted money for walking tours, and I think that's a good possibility to explore that option for some funding to develop a walking tour. So I'll try to start working on that and put some things together for that grant program. There's some upcoming items here. We're going to do a merchants walking tour. That's something we've talked about here at this meeting in the past. And it looks like from the feedback I got about the 27th that the best date would be to do Tuesday, May 4th, to give some more people an opportunity to be involved in it that can't make it the 27th. So on a Tuesday evening, ideally, we can walk around and go check on various shops and talk about what each business offers, and so that everyone is more aware, and they can refer people to the customers to other shops to buy things. I've listed the upcoming events for the next couple of weeks, including the Fourth Friday Art Walk is this Friday, first one in more than a year. We will have artwork at the Welcome Center. The Jean-Baptiste Valet House will be open, and they will have artwork in there Friday evening. I think they're looking at having about a dozen places open that night. Hopefully the weather will be good this weekend. I know the community center is going to have their Touch a Truck event on Saturday, and trying to come up with a shopping promotion event to play along with that theme. So if they got Touch Your Truck out there, we're having Fill Your Car downtown with a chance, if you buy a qualifying purchase, $5 or more at 4 shops, I've got cards ready to go that get stamped at those 4 locations, entered into a drawing for some fleur-de-lis bucks. Also on Saturday, we're going to have live music at the Pergola at Main and Merchant. We'll have Paul Hogan Miller and Chris Alexander playing there from 11 to 1:30. And then Harold's Famous Bee Company is going to have a scavenger hunt. They've had those for the last year or so, every so often, very popular. Sends a lot of people through town looking for medallions for a prize. Bricks Winery is planning an event on a Sunday, May 2nd. I know there's been some discussions about how to bring some life to Sundays downtown. And Bricks is working with Sarah on a ice cream float as part of the event, as well as geocaches, which I'm not super familiar with. I know kind of a passing information. It's kind of a similar to scavenger hunt kind of a thing, where they have a website that talks about GPS coordinates, and you go and locate these geocaches. And a lot of times they're trading out trinkets in the cache, so you might take something out and put something in, and you make a note that you were there. And so it's a big thing around the country that people go to these things, and they're going to play some new ones in town. And I guess they've put the word out to a lot of St. Louis area geocachers to come down and check things out. On Saturday, May 8th, the Center for French Colonial Life is opening their exhibit about saving St. Louis, which talks about the militia's role at the Revolutionary War's Battle of Fort San Carlos up in St. Louis. That's been something they've been working on for quite a while, and I think they're going to have it installed for about 2 years once they get it in there, and I think they're going to have some activities and events going on that day to mark the opening of the exhibit. And the first movie night at Paramount Park is the following week, and then we get to May 22nd, 23rd, and Candy has an event at Sassafras Creek, which I guess is coming along well. 2 days event, music, crafts, demonstrations.
Well, early American life exhibits, kind of a historical thing. Might be some things for people to buy, but basically what things people did in pioneer days. And so we'll have music and demonstrations, lots of educational things going on, hopefully food, working on the food still. So.
Isn't Dale cooking?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was not going to say that, but until we have it for sure. But anyway, yeah. Probably barbecue. Yeah. Do you know what the movie is for the Paramount? Do you know what they're playing?
The first one is Jurassic Park. So it's Jurassic Park in the park.
Jurassic Park in the park.
Yeah, the May 15th is actually a combination event. The library has the equipment to do the movies, and they're partnering with the Museum Learning Center for that one. And then it kicks off a series that they're partnering with the park board through the rest of the summer, and into October they're going to have movies up there on the last Saturday of the month, I think, after that one.
Cool.
The data I have is Welcome Center visitors, which our average per person visits in the month of April is 45 people a day. Down a little bit from what our averages typically are. And I think I was trying to figure out what may be part of that situation, and I think some has to do with group tours and school tours. We have had 3 of them come through in April, so that it's good again that we have tours coming back, and that's accounted for 63 people. In the course of a typical year, we would have quite a bit more than that. If you go back to 2019, we would have almost 20 group tours in March and April. So that's about a quarter of our annual number. So that would come down to about 650 people that would have come through on tours in March and April in a typical year. But at least they're coming back, and ideally can pick up more for the fall. The website visitation numbers below that, actually March of this year was a rather high number compared to the past and compared to most months, attributed to our Facebook campaign that we have out there, in addition to some other social media campaigns that we have pushing people toward our website. So hopefully those things are paying off well. And again, this month we're at 6,000 visitors with a few days to go yet. So we're getting good traffic that hopefully this summer will translate into more visitors. Last couple items on here, I had talked about a postcard program for discount in the past and talked to various parties involved with that, which would be the Museum Learning Center and the water park, as well as hotels, motels in the area. I think this is a good program. It probably was hard to pull it together on a good timeline this year because there are a lot of moving parts about what, the museum is just getting opened up. The water park's about to have their first real full year, so there's still some things that they're working through in terms of to be part of a program like this, or to what would work out for them, in addition to the motels, hotels, and then it would take some oversight on my end to do that. And the last item on here is that I have told Happy I'd be resigning my position in May of this year, so about 4 weeks out from Friday. Just some other opportunities, and there's a lot of things on the plate that we're hopefully going to have the table set for whoever is able to come in here next and push things along.
Okay, thank you for that. And thank you for being the tourism director. And we'll miss you come May. Anybody have any discussion for Toby? Any questions? Okay, thank you. And the next item on the agenda is the bylaw changes, and I think everybody got copies of the proposed bylaws and the moving the Tourism Advisory Council and the TTC to work more closely together. Do we have any questions or discussions? Happy's here, and thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, thank
Sorry,
you.
I believe it or not.
That's quite all right. Anybody, and Happy's here, and he could probably answer nuts and bolts questions about the proposed bylaws. Anybody have any nuts and bolts questions?
I'm just nuts, so it doesn't matter.
So Happy's going to take care of at least that half of it. Yeah, okay.
So I just saw like the bylaws for the TAC and the bylaws for the TTC. Were we going to do a combined bylaws or no?
I think Happy has it presented as two different ones right
Yeah,
now,
they're
but
still
it would be,
separated but mirror each other in the way of the meetings and how they would be conducted. But we would refer to, because the tourism transportation can only have 5 people on it, whereas the TAC can have more, the rest of the members would be considered advisory. So you'd be there to help, with any discussion, questions, try to move things forward, but you'd only have the 5 members of the TTC that were able to vote for anything out of the Tourism Tax Commission, out of that fund, out of the TTC fund. So I have copies if I need to pass these out again.
Sure, if you need to. I mean, I think I have the most recent, but yeah. And it means the meetings would be concurrent, and it would.
Yeah.
Makes a lot more sense to me.
It does.
And it does to me also, yeah.
So anything that was changed from the previous bylaws is highlighted in red. So it should be quick to see what the changes are. And the biggest thing is going to be the membership part of it, where it talks about all 5 members of the TTC being members of the TAC. And then it lists who else can be part of that group. I would recommend that we not go over 9, but it gives you enough potential for the board to nominate and for the mayor to nominate and the board to approve the members on the
Right.
TAC.
Happy, I think on page 2, we need to make sure that the change that says 1 representative of downtown renewal, I don't believe they're going by that name any longer. I believe it's still downtown St. Genevieve, is that correct?
It's
Or
downtown St. Gen.
So we might want to make that
Oh,
change.
okay.
mind going into more detail a little bit on Article 3 on the membership, the way it's written. I just want to make sure that I understand.
So there's no less than 9 members. Members shall be appointed as follows. We've got all the Tourism Tax Commission members, so
That's the
there's
first
5.
First 5, okay?
Right. So then you would also have somebody from the restaurant industry.
You kind of already cleared it up. Then you would also have.
So then you've got a representative of event organizers. So that can be, you're looking at those that put together like Jour de Fête or other events or activities.
Okay.
One who represents St. Genevieve County government, and that precipitates that they are, helping to fund these projects. And at this time, they are giving $5,000 a year to the city for tourism. Representative of the Chamber of Commerce, which I believe is on TTC or TAC now. One who has expertise in marketing, somebody that's got expertise in marketing, which we should also, it's marketing and tourism can be kind of combined. So we got somebody on the tourism part of it, with the TTC that would have probably some marketing expertise. Okay, one representative of downtown St. Genevieve, one member of the St. Genevieve Board of Aldermen, and one appointee may fill more than one functional category. So you can, again, I think you're going to have people that will work from both sides of it for this group.
Good, thank you. I think maybe for clarification, and not just me, but the members shall be appointed as follows: all Tourism Tax Commission members, maybe period. And in addition to that, one of the, you know what I'm saying, it is instead of a comma, because I kind of thought there for a second that they were defining the Tourism Commission. See how I'm reading that, or not?
And it may just be because of the way that it is grouped together, yeah.
Yeah, but the list that you went through was in addition to the 5 commission members, right?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
I can maybe put that into a list rather than put it into I was going off the original formatting. Break it out into a list, it'll make it a little clearer.
Four additional members of the following.
Yep. Yep.
Great, thank you. Sarah's our English professor. I'm feeling like, I just got to see in your class again.
Oh, it's all right. I think you just got an A.
First time for everything.
I didn't see too many of those, Sarah.
And if you notice on page 3, third paragraph down, it talks about having the meetings concurrent with the Tourism Tax Commission. One of the ideas also is that by combining it, Toby gives his report once to the group. We go through a lot of this stuff together and get the expertise from everybody that's on the boards that we're getting, but we're trying to narrow it down where you either meet, once a month as one group, every 3 months as one group, but you're not having to be responsible for multiple groups if you belong to multiple groups. But also for us to be able to just present one time.
Yeah. Happy under this, the Tourism Tax Commission would still be able to meet independently for a vote on spending expenditures of some sort.
Right, right. Because again, the groups are still separate.
So what's the next step, Happy,
Approval?
from this group?
And then do the alderman.
Yeah, we'll send it to
Okay.
Alderman for adoption.
Make a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, very good.
Thank you.
Thank you, and thanks for your work on that,
Yeah.
Happy.
There's a lot of people involved.
You need this guy.
Yeah, thanks.
All righty, under new business, I think we've sort of
Covered.
heard a lot of upcoming events and information about a visitor's guide, and the rest is information from the TAC, if we have any. No, I can say that I see people showing up in town a little bit more. I think tourism is picking up. That's a good thing. Yeah. Okay. And I kind of like to go away with the meeting sometimes with some kind of action plan. So unless somebody objects, and I bet you won't, I'm going to see if I can do a little more research about the Tesla chargers, just to find out, some of the logistics, costs, that kind of stuff. And I don't know that I can, but I would encourage everybody else to be looking at that stuff too. But I'm at least going to look at some of that, and I'll report back to you what I find at our next meeting. But if there is no further business, we can stand adjourned and let TTC have it.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good, very good. Start with a roll call when you're ready, Meg.
Mike Pollard,
I'm here, I think.
Lawrence Myers,
Here.
Nicole French, here, Jack Ketting,
Here.
Dee Patel, here, and Susan Johnson, here. You have a quorum.
Very good, very good. Let's see here. Approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Jack? Second?
I'll second.
Lawrence, thank you. All in favor of approval? Opposed? All righty, moving right along. You should have a copy of the minutes in front of you. Let's see, is it just the one?
There's the two different ones.
Two of them tonight, okay. We'll give everybody a minute to look over those if you haven't already. See Toby's name a lot, which means you've been a busy man. Do we do them individually or can we do them together,
I
man?
think you need to do them
I
individually,
think so
please.
too, okay. Motion for January 22nd minutes, please.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you.
Second.
And a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. And whenever you're ready, I'll take a motion for March 16th, please.
A motion to approve it.
Second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Dee. Approve, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Nicole, no inputs on those tonight? No. All right. Lots of numbers on the financial report.
The deposit that was put in there for the last month, For 6 months, we're actually right on pace with kind of an average year for St. Genevieve in terms of getting that $23,000 mark for annual lodging tax. So that's a decent sign at this point. Hopefully it gets better with the summer to come. Happy we might be able to talk a little bit about this, but as you can see, the 2020 number came in at less than $20,000 for lodging tax. I believe that through the Recovery Act that's out there currently, there's some possibility that some of the funds that typically get in the course of a year could be recovered for that difference, I guess.
So the American Rescue Plan was approved by the federal government. It's being distributed to the cities. Ours comes through the state. We're a smaller community. It comes to us in 2 different sets of money, tranches as they're called. We will receive approximately $813,000. There are limits to what we can use it for, but one of those areas that we can use it for is tourism. Looking at our budget over the last couple of years, comparing 2019 to 2020, it seems like we did go down, and that may be where we can supplement it. But we may also be able to use that money for some tourism projects. So we've talked about a website. We've talked about an app so you can go to the different sites. We've talked about a number of things that we may be able to sponsor in that, as well as water, sewer, and broadband. There's supplements for pay for emergency services people up to $13 an hour. Depends on, I don't know if that's going to apply to anything that we've got, but those are the areas that we're looking at, waiting for Treasury to send us details, just like they did with the COVID-19 money that was distributed to the county. Had to, they said, here's the money, now wait for how you can spend it, and then we'll change those rules about 6 months in.
Yeah.
So we're also looking at some of that money to be utilized in the general fund, which is then unrestricted, and we can spend it anywhere we want. So we're doing some comparisons on 2019 to 2020 and see how those numbers come out.
Okay, good. Our budgeting approach for this year was pretty conservative. I think $17,000 is what we budgeted in terms of spending from the lodging tax based on, last year who knew what was going to happen in terms of hotel stays and lodging numbers. And so I think we're on a good pace to be able maybe to utilize, even make an adjustment to our budget for this year if things continue on the path they are.
One of the things that we're also looking at is short-term rentals, since that's where this money is generated. It's through those and through the hotels, motels, B&Bs. So we're looking at trying to see if we need to bring in a company to maybe do some research on that to make sure we have everybody registered and that we're receiving what we're supposed to be receiving from those entities. So we've been watching a number of webinars. This is through the International City and County Managers Association. And they're pretty interesting, and it's a burgeoning industry still after all these years. So we want to make sure we're capturing all of that we can so we can put it back into tourism.
How are folks that, in today's day with the Airbnbs, et cetera, how are they, excuse me, how are they informed about the law, or how do they know they're supposed to be collecting the tax? Is it whenever they come down, do they are required to come down and get a license to do this?
Special use permit.
Special use permit?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So then we educate at that point.
Mm-hmm.
The issue is, some believe that it is collected by the entity that they go through. And there's 30 to 40 of these now, like Airbnb, VRBO.
Mm-hmm.
Some collect, some don't. Most don't. So that's one of our issues right now. So we want to get a read of how many there are, and then start informing those folks what they are responsible for, what they're not. We've talked to Airbnb. We're trying to work through that process where they would collect, and then it would not have to. They wouldn't put the burden on the property owner, because they feel like then they're spending money out of their pocket. If it's up front with whatever the whoever's leasing, whoever's renting that weekend, it's then included with their pay.
Yeah.
It doesn't hit them, and it doesn't affect them as much because they want to stay. So they're willing to pay that amount. But when you go back to the property owner, then we have issues. And I understand that, but it's still, it's their responsibility to pay it.
the law, yeah. So the VRBO, those type of entities are collecting other taxes for city and county and,
They do for the state, they don't for the local entities.
okay?
Yeah.
And how are those being collected then?
Right now, we tell them they need to be paying, and we look for that check every year. Again, we've been in dispute with some people because they haven't been.
Okay.
And it's not fair to the hotels or motels that are paying, as they're supposed to, because they collect when somebody checks in.
Good, okay, thanks.
Yep.
Anything else in the budget do you have, Toby?
Nope,
You
that's
need
just
to
an approval on there.
approve that.
Yeah, just. All right, if there are no other questions or discussion, I'll look for approval of the financial report.
So moved.
Jack, thank you. Second? Lawrence, thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's approved, thank you. Old business, bylaws. Apologize, I wasn't able to make it last meeting. I'm sure there was some conversation at that time.
We're waiting for you.
Did you have copies, it looks like, Happy?
I have two sets.
2 sets, yeah.
Two there. Check one, pass it on. Check one, pass it on. Okay. So one is a highlighted copy, the other is how it will look. Adopted. So again, what the changes that we made were in the red. I did have to make a correction on the membership part of it because we looked at what we wanted to be preferable. So I struck that and then went back to the, if you look at the page that doesn't have any of the corrections on it, we italicized the preferably part. Because we can't try, I don't want to limit ourselves to just getting people from these industries. I want to make sure that we have preferences, but we don't want to pigeonhole ourselves in only getting people from those particular businesses, industry, or those tourism aspects.
But 1 through 5, is that per state statute?
Yes.
And then on C, paragraph C under Article 2, talking about the tourism director, that isn't, is the intent there, I don't think the intent there is to sit in place of a board member, is it?
No.
In addition to?
You're talking about the liaison member?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's just part of your bylaws, allowing somebody from the board to be on the TTC, but they are not eligible to vote.
Right.
By state statute.
But are we looking at a board member and a tourism director?
Tourism director is going to be your staff advisor. That's what we've got on the last sentence.
Oh, right, okay.
Right, so, and the alderman, again, is ex officio, which means they're not a voting member.
But it's both, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
well, yeah, yes.
just to clarify, thank you.
And I think when the way they outlined this as a member is that they're not a voting member, but they are part of the commission.
Right. Okay.
I can rewrite that, I can retitle that.
I don't know, probably splitting hairs. Liaison member, I think, is coming from the board. Tourism is not, but other members or additional members, or they're both liaison, though. I don't have no problem with it. Anybody else?
Member qualifications, is that a current requirement? They have to reside in the city?
Yes.
That's by statute.
Not just on the business, but actually reside
You have to reside in the city. Since it's the city's tourism tax, you have to be a resident to be able to approve that. And even the no more than 2 consecutive terms is also a state statute requirement.
If we're going to run these concurrent with the council, advisory council, is the, under Article 5, paragraph B, like boy, a list of the agenda titles?
I have gone through and made corrections to both so that they meet up. They are the same.
Okay. I probably wasn't looking at the latest one then. I thought the other one started with the pledge that that the committee just looked at.
So in the old, this is based on the old ones. It wasn't a pledge of allegiance.
What did they just approve, Megan?
Starts with the pledge.
Call to order / pledge allegiance, I guess, is probably the same thing, right? I just don't want us to be, if we're going to be sitting on,
Because they have pledged, no call to
No,
order.
you're right, pledge of allegiance. Gosh darn it. I went through that 3 times.
Yeah, that's okay, just a note. I think everything else is probably the same, unless we did a call to order, pledge allegiance, or whatever, / whatever, just so they're, since we're going to be running concurrent meetings.
What I'll do is just add pledge of allegiance before
Yep.
the call to order.
Perfect.
Yep.
Finally, down under Article 8. Let's see here, 8B1 is the, kind of the duties. Just want to make sure that everybody has looked at and doesn't have any questions about that paragraph that's been revised there.
I guess you need an O instead of an I for that one letter.
I'm sorry,
Is there a typo of an O to an I? Is that, yeah,
which,
conduct of the commission's business? And then you talk about 8,
A,
A,
back up there.
yeah, conduct of the commission's business.
Okay.
Just typo.
So just to review, Tourism Commission shall meet no less than quarterly to determine expenditure of funds budgeted by the Board of Aldermen with input from the Tourism Director. Expenditure of funds budgeted by the Board of Aldermen, input by Director. All expenditures of funds authorized by the Commission shall be approved by the Director of Tourism for compliance. That's important there, I think. They're approved for compliance, they're not approved for, they'll be approved by the Director of Tourism for compliance to city policy and applicable laws, which I'm assuming applicable laws was left open for city and state, i.e. laws.
So there's a couple of things at play. One would be if you spend over $5,000, we would have to go out for bid, sealed bids. So we have to make sure that if you, whatever you purchase, we have to follow the purchasing policy of the city. So that's one of the requirements of the tourism director is, you can approve it, but we have to make sure we follow what those policies are.
Good, okay.
And then the other would be applicable laws is what does the tourism state statute say? And any other laws that we need to pay attention to.
Good. All right. Anybody have any questions about that? A lot of time and effort I know spent on it. Happy, I appreciate it, and Toby and whoever else helped. Thanks for getting us a good product.
Yeah, Bob Mueller helped on that. Toby did a lot of work on it. So,
Bob and Happy.
Well, there's so many, you know, somebody might look at it and go, oh, there wasn't a lot of changes. And I know that it's, when you get to looking at these and writing these and changing words and different things, the context, it can be tough sometimes. So my understanding again, Happy, is that in accordance with the last paragraph, this will be, this has not been reviewed by the city attorney yet, it still will be?
Yes.
Okay. And then, not sure it requires a vote. Is it the intent to have the attorney look at it? Of course, yourself looked at it. Is it the intent for this to be approved by the board?
The intent is to, I will review with the city attorney, make sure that the board has to approve it. If they don't, then it would just be the tourism commission that would.
Right.
We based the language off of other parts of the bylaws, so I don't see any discrepancies or issues.
Okay.
Because we haven't changed how it reflects the state statute, but still want to pass it by just in case. But I want to make sure he gets final version of what you all agreed to.
That's what I was going to say. So we're really not voting to approve these. We're voting to pass them to the next step. Is that what you're saying?
We could approve pending the attorney's review.
Pending attorney review?
Yeah.
What do y'all think we should do?
Yeah, that sounds good to me. I'll make that motion.
Okay.
Approve pending the.
Motion to approve as reviewed tonight, pending approval by the city attorney.
Right.
Can you get a second on that?
Go for it.
I'll second it, it's fine.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All righty. Take care of the bylaws. New business. I think we're back to Toby again. Imagine that.
So as I mentioned, I was am securing bid for the visitor's guide booklet, which I will present to you. If anyone has any thoughts on whether that's something we should proceed with or not. Like I said, it's going to be 40-something pages as a booklet, 4x9 size, something we have not done. The foldout that we had in the past included a map and things, was about I believe 16 panels, which would be a 16-page booklet. So this is something of a larger size, so I don't know if that's something you wanted to proceed with in terms of putting that out there as a visitor's guide for people interested in visiting. I'll have numbers, but I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
I don't have numbers that I can give you yet because I have to wait till.
I just wanted to make a comment. The one thing that really stuck out to me when I was looking through it was we're promoting a lot of county attractions. I know they do contribute some, but I would really love it if we could investigate if we are going to go forward with something that's promoting the county so heavily, asking them if they would contribute more to those printed costs.
I think so as well. I think once and we could do it in the process too, I can present to them. This is what we're looking at, and this is how much of the publication is county related.
I think that, I mean, never hurts to ask, and if it's,
Well, I'm all
if they're
for
taking
that.
a big percentage of this, and it's a big project, so I think we should include them in
But I
that.
like the fact that they are included because it makes it look like a much more,
Of course,
Yes.
of
you know,
course,
yeah.
yeah,
there's a lot more going on here
Right.
than just
yeah,
Right.
old houses. So
Definitely.
nothing wrong with the old houses.
right.
But yeah, make them pay for it.
I will visit with them this week.
Thank you.
I guess, as soon as I get numbers on that, I will present them to you guys for review, and if we need to do a quick meeting on that, we can do so. And again, I'll get some county information and feedback before then as well.
On other communities that have put out such a brochure or whatever you want, is that something that you see being distributed? What kind of, who's the target market for that?
I think this is a couple ways it can be distributed. One, we could put it on rack cards, and we could again select what routes we wanted to do that on. And that's part of the reason for preferring the 4x9 size, is that it would fit on the rack card. And if you do the larger size, the companies that own those racks charge you more for more space on their racks. So if it's a magazine, you're going to pay more for that size to be on there than the 4x9 booklet, which is a standard size as our current cards and a lot of other cards that are out there. So if you travel interstates or welcome centers and hotels, you'll see some booklets out there from places like Hannibal and Cape Girardeau. As I said, has about a 60-page booklet. Theirs is folded a little differently, but it comes out to about 60 pages. Hannibal is about 40 pages or so for theirs. And I saw another one. The Missouri RV Parks is another booklet about that size. So I think it would fit in well with those other publications at those locations. In addition to, people will call us and say, I want a visitor's guide. At the moment, we're packaging the downtown guide and map with the events card, and then some other brochures that will complement it if they want, give me brochures for the historic houses, or give me brochures for the hotels. We'll package some of that up, whereas this will have a lot of that in there that we can put out and just pop. And the back panel will be that kind of, here's your stamp their address on there and send it away. So, and then we can use our Facebook campaign, and we could actually still do that this year, this summer, to use the Facebook campaign and say, if you're on Facebook and you're getting these tourism sites hit you, that's kind of one of the things. Like, our visitor's guide has been released. Fill out this form and we'll mail one to you, or give us a call, we'll mail one to you. And so that's another way we can get that out there this year. So there's some different ways we can distribute it for sure to get out there.
Did you say this Furman or these other towns, they have the same size?
A lot of them are standard 4x9, yeah.
Okay.
So Cape Girardeau it actually folds out to 8x9, but it folds down to that smaller size with theirs.
So ours won't look skinny compared to everybody else's? Okay.
Do those typically have any advertisements in them?
Well, yes, they can. And that's really a function of who's producing them. Happy and I have talked about this quite a bit. In some instances, you have convention visitors bureaus that are producing, or Chamber of Commerce and CVBs that might be doing, and they do actively go out and have that sales component to them. And that's something, if it ever was to convert to magazine size, we could do a kind of something similar to the Where St. Louis magazine sort of concept, where the back is going to be, here's a list of the shops, here's a list of the places to eat, and the hotels, and some pictures and things. And then the front, you'll have the historic attractions, but you could also even flip that out with a story from time to time, and if you wanted to sell advertising in it. There are some potential people out there, if you can convince them this is a product to be in, that could help foot the bill on it. I know there's been some discussion with, last year, one of the historic sites talked with a person who produces a magazine, and I think she's in Massachusetts, but the cost is prohibitive. It's, I guess, why not everybody's getting into publishing these days. The cost of putting that stuff on print and high-end glossy print isn't cheap, and then you have to go out and find people willing to support that. In the case of her magazines, which were tourism related, but they're also relocation related, so they were chock full of real estate ads, and that's something we're not seeing here. And I don't think we would, so. There are certain groups out there that, could certainly be targets. It'd just be a matter of if they believe that that was the route they wanted to go, as opposed to social media or other outlets that they use currently.
Good. All right. Any questions on that or any other topics? I think that brings us to the end.
Move for adjournment.
There's a movement. Second?
I'll second.
All right. Wish you all have a great evening.
You too.